Hello friends, my name is Priyanka. Today I want to discuss about dependency injection and what are the types of dependency injection and what is the dependency lookup. You can see that even the technical part also. Now let's just begin. Mm, What is first of all we have to know what is the dependency injection. Okay, let's see in a simple sentence what is the dependency injection. Okay, uh, the container gives the object to you automatically. So the container object to you gives the object to you automatically. Here the spring container dependency inject means inject the object, that means given the object to you. Spring container given the object to you automatically. Spring container gives the object to the developers. So no need to create manual, no need to create the objects manually. So spring container will always provide the object to the developers who want. So that is the dependency injection. And coming to there are three types of dependency injection. And first one is setter injection, and second one is field injection, and the third one is constructor injection. So these are the two types of the dependency injection. Uh, Once we discuss the dependency lookup, after we can see the types of dependency injection. So here now we can see dependency lookup. Uh, what is the dependency lookup means? Here you ask the container for the object manually. So the developers creates the object manually. So the dependency injection means the container gives the object to you automatically. But coming to the dependency lookup, which is different, which is different than dependency injection. That is, dependency lookup means you ask the container for the object manually. You ask the container for the object manually. Okay. Let's see one simple real-time example. Okay. For example, we are all yes. If we see our college days or our school days, our lecturers or our teachers will give some materials to the students who are all there in the class. So they provide some materials to the students, right? So even the students didn't ask the teachers, even though they provide some materials to the students. So that is the teachers wantedly give some materials which is related to the particular object, particular subject. So teachers wantedly give some materials to the students without students ask. So that is the dependency injection. How we can see here, the the teacher is the spring container. example, the teacher is a spring container and the material or guide, whatever it is, this is the object. And coming to the students is nothing but the developers. Here in this example, the teacher gives some material to the students. The teacher provides guide to the students. So like that, without ask, students without ask, teacher provides the material to the students. So like that, without ask, the developer is didn't ask, even though the spring container is ready to provide some object to the developers. So that is the inject. This spring container inject, that means given the object to the developers. So that is the dependency injection here. Okay, so this is the dependency injection. And coming to the dependency lookup, you ask the container for the object manually. You ask, that means here the students go and ask the teacher, that is, ma'am, give me some material for this for this related topic. Ma'am, give me some give me some material to the important topics. So like that, students wantedly go and ask the teacher for the material or for important questions, whatever it is. So they go and ask the teacher. So that is the dependency lookup. They go and ask the teacher. So like that, developers ask the spring container, hey spring container, you have to create this object for me manually. So like that, that is the dependency lookup here. Okay, coming to the types of dependency injection. So here the first one is setter injection. Setter injection is nothing but, so you set the required object using a setter method. You set required object using a setter method. So nowadays it is not usable. So this has a lot of disadvantages. One is object can be incomplete, and it is very less safe, and it is very harder to task, and it has more boilerplate code. So all are the disadvantages of this setter injection. So coming to the field injection. Field injection is nothing but inject on field. Inject on field. In this we are using the auto word annotation here. Here we are using the auto word annotation. Uh, Field injection, that is. And coming to the constructor injection, on constructor, that means on constructor we inject the object. On constructor we inject the object, that is a constructor injection. So here spring spring framework, we can inject the object in two ways, that is the field. One is field injection and the constructor injection. Field injection means we can inject the object in method. Coming to the constructor injection, we can inject the object in the constructor. So these two ways we can able to inject the object. Here the constructor injection mean, there are Nowadays there are most companies were there are most companies were using this constructor injection only. So it is very fast and define auto-word on constructor injection, auto-word annotation on constructor injection. There are most other common ways also there, but this constructor injection is used in the industry also. So which is better, field or constructor? Means constructor injection is better one. So how the constructor injection is better means during the object creation itself, value is assigned. So it is very faster. So if we use constructor injection, we need not to explicitly. Whenever we use the field injection, we have to explicitly give auto-word annotation while we creating the object, while we inject the object to the developer. So coming to the constructor injection, we no need to explicitly provide at auto word annotation here. So that is the benefit of constructor injection here. If we use the constructor injection, we need not to explicitly auto-word at top of constructor injection we create in a program. So it will be taken care for your system only. So that is the advantage here of constructor injection. And how the Spring doing all these things like object creation and the object assigning means the Spring container internally uses the concept of container or the Spring container, IOC container. So IOC means inversion of controller here. In this container, the objects will be maintained. All object that is managed by Spring is added inside the Spring container whenever we use the add component annotation. So at that time it creates an object for us, and that object is stored into the spring container. Here there are two types of containers here. So one is bin factory container, and the second one is application context container. So bean factory container means it is very basic container, basic container. Generally, in recent days, people are not using this factory container. It is only for very basic application only. So it is not used for the biggest application. If we using the bean factory container means it cuts down to some of the Spring features. It gives only some features only, so it is used for very lightweight version of the application in Spring by cutting down many features of the Spring. So at that time, go with the Bean Factory container. If you want to uh, use very less features for our project, for our application, so that time we can go with this Bean Factory container. Otherwise, there is another option. There is another container also, that is the application context container here. So let's try. There are two types of containers. First one is bean factory container, and the second one is application context container. So what is the bean factory container means? So it is very basic container. If we are using, if we want to use many features, or if you want, if we want to create a lightweight application, then we can go with Bean content. So this is a Bean factory container. So coming to the application context container, here we almost use this is default in Spring only. So we almost use this container for real-time applications. So it is having more features than compared to the Bean factory container. It is having more features and more power and more capability. So it is the advanced version of the container, having more capability and more features in Spring framework. So the way we added our object inside Spring container by using the art component, by using art component annotation, so we can able to the Spring when uh, we ask the Spring container, hey Spring container, you just create the object for this class. Whenever we put at component annotation, that time Spring automatically knows that developer wants that I want to create object for this class. So like that. So like that, Spring has already created many objects and added inside the container. So application context. What is the application context means? In the internal memory of container, there is one object available right now. So now, for example, I have the class one, and Spring container creates one object for the class one. That object is stored into the Spring container. Now in my Spring container, there is an object of class one. So here, uh, now there is an object. So with the reference of that application, with the reference of application context, and the power of this object is, using the at component object, we can access the rest of the entire container. We can object the rest of the entire container. That is the power of this application context. Object of application context gives you the access of the entire container. It gives the access of the entire container only. And using this object, that is the application context object, you can access the entire container, that which means the other object. So this application context means, okay, let's see what is the application context container here. This is default in string. This default in string. It is having more features, more power, and more capability. It is advanced version of the container, having more capability and more features. And coming to the application context, application context means this. This is whenever we using the add component, we can access rest of the we can access rest of the entire container, rest of the objects, rest of the objects, entire container. So this is application context using you can access entire container other objects. So this is the application context here. So let's see technically how how the dependency inject, how the Spring container creates the object, and what is the dependency lookup and what is the dependency injection. So let's see in technically. Now here I already created my project which is named as demo. So now I want to create uh, a demo application here. Class yes, I created my demo application here in the demo package. Now I created the demo application for I created one demo application, and now I'm creating the controller, the number controller. I'm creating the number controller here. I created number controller in the controller package. In the controller package here, here this is the this, here this is starts the Spring application here. The Spring application having the run method. Inside the run method, this is demo application dot class. This is the class name of this application, and we can use args here whenever we are using the command line arguments. So that time we can provide those arguments here, and uh, uh, this is the main thing whenever we start this application. So this is the main thing to start our application. uh, and coming to the this is my controller, this this is number controller, this is my controller. Now I want to create one service. Basically the controller, we have three layers. One is the controller, we have three layers. This uh, three layers. One is controller, service layer, and the service implementation layer. Service layer. The third one is the business logic layer. Now here, if the controller wants, so now we can see what is controller. So a class that handles user requests. This is a class that is the controller class, which handle which handles the user requests like from a browser. So whatever the request coming from the browser, which is handled by this controller, and it returns a response to the user. So basic now I simply write controller means user requests it user user requests this controller, and it gives a response, it processing, and finally it gives a response to the user. Processing, and it gives a response to the user. So that is the controller here. The whatever the requests whatever the request coming from the browser, from the user end, so those requests will handled by this controller, and it returns a response to the user only. So if the controller wants to talk with this business logic layer, so it can't talk with this business logic layer directly. So at that time, here the service logic layer is an interface. So this through this interface only, this controller layer is will able to talk with this business logic layer. So through this interface, through this service layer interface only, the controller can able to talks with this business logic layer. It can't talk with the directly with the business logic layer. So for that reason, we can create the service layer here as an interface. So let's see technically. Now I'm creating interface. I'm creating the number interface. I'm creating the service, that is the number service. So this is my service, and this is my controller. This is my controller, and this is my service. And now in this interface, now basically interface having the body, interface having there is we cannot implement we cannot implement the interface body, right? So if we want to implement the body of the interface, so definitely we need some class. So through that in that class only, we can able to implement the body of the interface methods. Interface methods have not body. Interface methods have not a body implementation, right? So whenever if you want to given if you want to write some implementation of the interface method means, so we need to create one. We need to um, create one class. Through in that class, we can able to implement the body of the interface methods, right? So now I'm creating the numbers. Now I'm creating one method here. So that is the add number method. So int add numbers method. Inside this method, I'm giving two values. I'm giving two values here. So this is my interface. Now I want to create my service implementation class. So for that reason, I want to create number service implementation class. This is my business logic layer. So this class implements the interface, that is the member service. So now here, so in number service interface, I'm creating I already created the add numbers method, right? By giving two parameters, that is a val1 and val2. So in this number service implementation layer, we need to give the body of this. Now here I just initialize, I just create the add numbers method only. I didn't provide any value, I didn't provide any body for this method, right? Because interface, this is an interface, this is interface, so we need not to create a body of this method, add numbers method. So if you want to create the body of this add numbers method, so we just this is a class we already created for implementing the body of the interface method, number service interface method. So here I just want to uh, given the body of this add numbers method. uh, Public. So here already we have the add numbers method, and we have to we have to given the body of this add numbers method here, right? So obviously it is overridden, so it is override, the method is override, right? So we have to use the override annotation here. Add override public int add numbers val1 val2. Here I just want to sum, I just want to perform the sum addition here. It is sum is equal to val1 plus val2 here, and it returns that sum. This is our number service implementation. Number service here we already created the add numbers method in the number service. So this acts as an interface. So if you want to create the body of this, if you want to write some implementation of this add numbers body, so interface does not have body. So here in this number service implementation, we can provide, we provided that body of this add numbers method. So now coming to the controller, in this controller we need to create, here this is the implementation, this is the service, right? So we have to use, we can use the add service annotation here. So what is the why we are using this add service annotation means, ma, it ma, which which defined as the spring service bean, which is defined as this is a spring service bean. So spring can inject it. So for that reason, we can provide this annotation here. So coming to the controller, this I want to say, and this is the number controller here. Now uh, we have the number service as a number service interface here. So I just want to private. Now here we have to inject the object. We have to inject the object here. Num number service is here. Yeah. In this, we just use the logger to log the messages to log all the messages here. At the top of class, at the top of number controller class, we can use the at rest controller. So at rest controller. So here, what is this rest controller means? Or what is this rest controller means? It it yes, it will handle all web requests, and it will send data as a response. Okay, this REST controller to handle HTTP request, to handle HTTP request and gives a response, and gives it handle HTTP all HTTP requests and gives a response. So that is why we are using this REST controller annotation. So it is used to handle the HTTP request and gives a response. So now I just want to here I'm creating the logger here to log all the messages. Basically, we are using the system.out.println method, but coming to the industry, they are not using this system.out.println as a print statement. So instead of that, they are using the logger method to log all the messages whatever we want. So with this static final logger is equal to, here's the logger factory. So it is like basic a real-time factory only. In factory, whatever the factory we take, um, whatever factory like bun factories, whatever it is, or plastic factory, whatever it is. So in that factory, a bulk of items were available in that factory, right? So like that only it will act. So whatever the beans, whatever the objects were, or every objects were present in this in this log factory. So from this log factory, we can use there are three methods inside this log factory. So now we are using the get logger method here. So get logger method. So here inside the get logger method, I'm giving the number controller dot class, because whatever the objects or whatever the objects of the number controller class, so I want to log those bean. So for that reason I want to see the messages regarding the number controller class. So that's why I'm giving here the number controller here. If I'm giving the number service implementation dot class, whatever whatever the objects of whatever the log we use it inside the number service implementation, we can see that here. So we just import the slf4j library here. So now by using this number controller constructor, this is a constructor. By using this number controller constructor, we can uh, inject the object here. Here the object is number service. We can inject the object inside the number controller. So public number controller. So inside this is the number controller constructor. Already I said that in constructor injection we can inject an object inside the constructor, where we provide some parameters, some arguments here, right? So inside this constructor we inject the object here. So here I'm injecting number service. Here I'm injecting number service, and I just number service. So here I just log the, the number service. Now we can, yes, we can create we have to create the add method here for get mapping. That means get mapping is nothing. Get mapping, why the get mapping annotation using means it maps the browser URL to a controller method. It maps the browser URL to a controller method to show the data. So for that reason we are using the get mapping annotation here. So for that reason I want to, yeah, we want to map the browser URL to a controller, right? So for that reason I am creating the add method here. So public add, so this is string data type and add. Here I'm using add get mapping annotation. I'm using get mapping annotation here, and I'm giving the URL that add, which name is add, and inside this constructor inside this constructor. I'm using the request param of val1 int val1 and at request param int val2. Okay, now I'm giving the return statement here. We perform the sum, right? We need addition operation here, so that's why I just written uh, sum of val1 and val2 is here. I just first of all, in number service, I just get that whatever the request. In, Instead of this code, first we have to see what is the request param and what is the get mapping. Then only we can clearly we can able to understand it other steps clearly, right? So first of all, what is get mapping here? Get mapping get mapping annotation here means, so it maps the browser. It maps the browser URL to a controller method to show the data to show the data in the browser. So coming, what is at request param annotation? Why we are using this annotation means, request param annotation here. Why we are using this request param annotation means, it binds the query parameter. It binds the query parameter whatever the values val1 and val2 we are given in the browser. So it binds the query parameter to the Java variable, whatever the val1 val2. Here we providing the val1 val2 here, right? So whatever the objects given into the browser as the value of val1 and val2, so it binds those value um, into this Java variables, the val1 and val2. So that is the work of this request param. So here it binds it binds the query parameter val1. Some in browser we can give some value, um, in val2. If I in case I will give the val1 is equal to 10, val2 is equal to 20 in the browser. So it it binds these values to the Java variable. It binds these values to the Java variable, whatever we gave inside the add method. So that is val1 and val2. So it binds. So coming to here inside the number service, we have the get. In number service, add number. Yes, we have add numbers method in number service. number service, there is add numbers method here. So in this method, there is a val1 and val2 parameters. So I'm just taking those values, and I'm storing those values into the result variable. So here int result is equal to, so here, and I'm just return this result in the browser. Um I just want to see what are the result we are what are the result it came in the browser. So in return statement, I just give this result, return sum of one, val1 and val2, sum of val1 and val2 is whatever the result came. So that is the result here. So here, let's see in the browser. uh, let's run this. So run as, go to the maven build. Here I'm using the command clean spring boot run. Oh, my spring boot application is very slow. So yes, we can see here. So compiling one source file. Mm, yes, here the download started on port 8080, and you can see here the download server is also running successfully. Okay, now we can see the browser. You can see the output in the browser. So local host, our default port is 8080. So here I am using the add method, and right, and add val1 is equal to, for example, 20, and val2 is equal to 30. Now here we can see the output of output. So here the sum of 20 and 30 is 50. So we can now write it properly. Sum of val1 and val2 is, so here I just read, we can see the output here, right? So like that. So this is the dependency injection inside the number controller constructor injection. This is the number controller constructor. Inside this constructor, I inject the number service object. Inject the number service object here, and this is the this dot number service is equal to number service means it stores the number service object inside the controller container. So coming to the get add method. So by using this method, we can get the add method, add numbers, whatever in number service. We can get the values, the value 1 and value 2 here, and those values where, what are the values we get? So those values were uh, stored inside the result variable. So in return, I just want to in return I printed the value of result here. So this is here. This is we inject the number service, right? So that is the dependency injection. So coming to the dependency lookup. So dependency lookup means we can get the beans, whatever the beans present inside the string container, we can get all the beans. So that is the dependency lookup, right? So application context, we already see application context. So that is, it holds strings full container. If you want to manually look up any bean, so we just use some method. So through that method we can able to see whatever the beans present inside the container. So let's see that. Let's see the what is the dependency lookup here. So dependency lookup, here we have the application context here, right? Application, so this is one word. Application, it is by default the string container having the application context, context bean. So we can able to directly inject those application context here. Application context, here I just, this is application content. I copy and paste, and it's this dot application context. Okay. So here I just inject the application context object. So I want to get whatever in application context, I want to get whatever the beans present in the number service class. So, so for that reason, I just write the code here. Application context dot, by using the getBean method, whatever the beans present number service dot class. So here I'm just storing this, which is number service. It is error. And now, so here we have to create the field of application context here. Already application context is present inside the Spring container, so we just uh, create the field of this application context here to get whatever the beans inside the Spring container. So for that reason, I'm just create the field of application context here. Application context. So here I'm just using the logger to see the dependency lookup reference. Dependency lookup reference is the application where I made a spelling mistake. So now yes, we can now I'm using the logger to see this to see the application context to see the beans application context code here is dependency lookup. Okay, now dependency lookup. So some whatever it is, I'm just giving the number service here. So here the logger dot info dependency lookup and the number service. So okay, we just run this. We just run this. Then we can see. Already it is running only. Okay, we just stop this and run as Maven build clean spring boot run. Application contact. Yeah, here in this console we can see this line and number controller. We got some message here, so that is the dependency lookup. So whatever I log, so I can see that log message here. So it is successfully run. So now I want to see the beans. What are all the beans present inside the Spring container, right? So I want to get those beans. So so this is the dependency lookup. So I want to get all the beans. Okay, get list of spring beans from application context. To get a list of all the beans that are the present inside the application context. So for that reason it has this application context having a method that is get bean definition names. Get bean definition names method inside in the application context. By using that method we can able to um, get all the beans present inside the container. So here application context dot get bean definition definition names. Second method, get definition method. This is the method which we are using to get all the beans present inside the application context. So just this is I'm using the array here, and I given the names, that is the bean names here. This is the variable name. In this variable I'm just storing whatever the beans whatever the beans I got. I just store those beans inside the bean names array. Bean names array. So uh, to log this to log this all beans, so I'm just using the for each loop. So for, and this is the bean name. This is a string type, and each beans I just create a bean name for each, and in this I just want to log every bean. Logger dot info the bean name. Bean name. So here, so to see it clearly, I just logger dot info. Just differentiate this. You can able to see this clearly. Whatever the beans we are created, you can see, you can able to see it clearly. So control C, control V. Control. Okay, so this is in application context. Now we are tried that to get all the beans present inside the application context here. So I just run this. I just uh, I just wanted to run as Spring Boot app. I can see what are all the beans present inside the application context. It displays each and every bean. So here, yes, we can see the bean name. What are all it displays? It shows what are all beans present from here to here. These are the bean names. What were present? What are the beans present inside the number controller? So we can see result here. So this is a dependency lookup and application context. This is the application context container, and dependency lookup mean, and we completed the dependency injection and the dependency lookup. So now you can see the results successfully, and sum of 20 and 30 is 50. So this is all about the dependency injection and the dependency lookup.